Welcome to Reality My Truth. In this channel, we stand for the truth of the gospel of our blessed God. If you're a lover of truth, I can assure you, you are in the right place. The Bible says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. In this channel also, we do not only believe, we think, we look at messages and we think deeply about them to be able to bring out the truth in them and then upload them to you, or to bring out the lies in them and upload them to you. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share my video to create awareness to people out there that they will be well informed to know what to do at every given time. Leave your opinion. Your opinion matters. Your comment. Like my video. God bless you. I making this video because I can't believe that the issue between Dr. Ebed Damina, Paul Eneche, Apostle Paul Odola, and Apostle Joshua Selman is still lingering. But of course, where the truth is not found, the issue will continue to expand. It will continue to linger because the truth is not found. And in this saga, it's either Dr. Ebed Damina is not telling the truth. In other words, his claim to have ordained these three men of God is false. Or that these three men of God, excluding Apostle Joshua Telena, who already, and I believe will never denied that Dr. Ebed Damina ordained him, and that left Apostle Paul Odola and the Dr. Paul Eneche. I want to play a video where the one I know, where I believe this issue started. It may not be, but the one I came across to. And let me start from the statement that Ebed made alongside one of his messages that actually erupted these things that have been, this saga that have been going on. Let me play the video for you to watch.
Years ago, many years ago, Pastor Paul Eneche, and I know so many of you know him, okay, used to be a member of our church. He wanted to go to London to go and read medical science master's degree with his wife, but they didn't have the money and they didn't have the contact. So they came to Uyo with their letters of admission. I still have copies of the letter. And they said to me, we know you are connected in London. We have an admission. We want to go to London to read medicine so that when we come back, masters, we can start doing rural medical outreach. So please, if you can talk to your contacts to help, even if they can give us scholarship or sponsor us. So I told them, okay, sleep in the guest room. I'm going to pray about it tonight. So I got on my knees and the Lord spoke to me clearly. So I came to them in the guest room and I said, the Lord just spoke to me. You're not going to London for medical missions. You're not going to read medicine masters. The Lord told me it's time for you to start the church. You start the church and the church will grow, and from the church you will build medical teams that will go for medical outreach. And then he said to me, church where? I said, I hear Abuja. I gave him information. I gave him direction. He said, but I don't have anybody in Abuja. I said to him, when you get back to Jos, get on a bus, go to Abuja, and as you arrive Abuja, go on evangelism. And that was it. The Dunamis church was born because I gave him direction. He could have gone to London and be reading medicine and miss that direction. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, he could have gone to London and read medicine and maybe lose direction. But I gave him direction by the Spirit of God. And today that direction is a blessing.
God bless you. You've heard what Dr. Ebed Damina said, how Paul Eneche came to him with the wife and so on and so forth, and seeking for connection or assistance because they intended to travel to England to study medicine and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, Dr. Ebed Damina said he prayed to God when he gave them a guest house to sleep. He prayed to God, and God, according to him, He said that God said they should not go to London and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, he said he gave them direction, and that is how Dunamis was born. One of the videos I came across to, actually, Dr. Ebed Damina was giving a message, I think based on direction or something like that, before he gave this as either example or reference point. Now, this is where wisdom comes in. I don't know the relationship between Dr. Ebed Damina and Dr. Paul Eneche before now. Why? Because if they were in good relationship before now, maybe this saga, this issue will not come up. Because Dr. Paul Eneche, even when he sees the video, he will not be perturbed, he will not be moved, because it's true. That is, if it is true. So, in my own opinion, I think they are no longer in good times. I mean, they are no longer in relationship, and that is why when this thing came in, it became an issue. But let me play a video also, what an interview that Dr. Ebel granted to one of his interviewer, and I want you to also hear what he said, and that is why, that is how the name of Dr. Paul Odola came in. Actually, I don't know if this is the first time he mentioned his name in any of his messages or interview, but this is the one I have. So let me play it to you to watch. Please watch.
So he told me some very interesting stories. For instance, that he was ordained on the same day, 1996, 97, 98.
1996 February.
Yes, he was ordained on the same day with somebody Odola.
Paul Odola.
And then Enenche.
Yes, him, Paul Odola, and Paul Enenche were ordained the same day, right there.
The same Enenche.
Same service.
So why would he now say he doesn't know you?
Well, time will tell.
Okay.
Time
absolutely.
will.
Listen again to Dr. Ebed Damina, the interview he granted. He was asked why they were denying him, and he said, time will tell. There's something I want you to note. Please write it down. He said he ordained them in 1996 February. Note, 1996 February. 1996 February. Fine. Let's listen to, I believe this interview, it was that, yes, this interview was granted by Dr. Paul, by Apostle Paul Odola. Maybe Apostle Paul has seen the video or the interview that Dr. Ebed Damina granted. That may be what actually moved him to make or granted this interview. I want you to listen to him. Just like I said about Dr. Paul Edenche. Again, I said, if Apostle Paul Odola was in relationship with Dr. Ebed Damina, and Dr. Ebed Damina now alleged that he ordained him, maybe he will not come out to make this video. I believe that something is not adding on here. I believe that there could be a beef before now between Dr. Ebed Damina and the Apostle Paul Odola. I also believe there could be a beef between Dr. Ebed Damina and Dr. Paul Enenche. Because if it is true that Dr. Ebed Damina ordained them and he said it in an interview or alongside his message, there shouldn't be any issue because it is the truth. Maybe they are debunking it because it's not the truth. Are you following me? So let's listen to an interview that Apostle Paul Odola granted. Let's hear what he's going to say. Let's hear what he going to say. Listen to him.
Well, thank you very much. I think I've been privileged to know Dr. Abel Damina and Dr. Paul Enenche way back. As far back as 1994 was the first time I think Dr. Paul Enenche came into the picture of Dr. Abel Damina. And as at the time Dr. Paul came into the picture, he was already a man of God in his own right. I have a particular handbill where Dr. Paul featured as a guest speaker. Yes, he was already a guest speaker. That was in 1995. It was in that handbill, there's one pastor called Dr. Friday Younger. In 1995, so Dr. Paul came into the picture as already a minister of the gospel, fireful and vibrant, that often attends the conferences that Dr. Abel organizes. There was this just prayer conference that was going on there that Dr. Paul comes around. You know, so when the movement ICMA became a church, Dr. Paul came in as an associate minister. Sometimes he goes around preaching, you don't get to see him on the Sunday. If he's around at just, he comes into the service. And I had the opportunity to invite Dr. Paul to come minister for us in 1995 in Bauchi State. He was then a man of God in his own right. He came to that meeting with Dr. Becky, his wife, and with Deborah, his daughter, with his mother-in-law. That was 1995. As you see then that the man was anointed, was thankful, was a man of God in his own right by all standard. So we had the opportunity of coming around Dr. Joshua Telina and Reverend Dr. Abel Damina. And obviously, I must say this, obviously, it was very clear, very apparent that it was different. It was different from us in so many ways that I can mention here. It was different in his lifestyle. It was different in his approach to ministry. It was different in his morality. And so basically, it was obvious that Dr. Paul as a person had his own approach, had his own lifestyle, had his own more or less like ministry, came around as an associate. So basically, what he is doing today, we have always known that he had a ministry that definitely was going to be global because of his approach to ministry that was quite different from ours. He's very strict and very high standard of living that to a very large extent was different from us because we were quite young men then, and you know, it was quite different. So what he's doing today, I'm not surprised. And if Dr. Abel is laying claim to happen, you know, train or probably ordain Dr. Enenche, I want to say this sincerely. That when a man that had his own ministry and was already in ministry associates with you at one point in time, it does not translate to the fact that he was being ordained by Master. It's just like saying that John the Baptist called Jesus into ministry. On transit to the mountain, he had an opportunity to meet John the Baptist. But also, he could know that Jesus was called for a purpose. So whatever we see today, I think Dr. Paul Enenche had it. And he was very intentional about it while he was with us. And today we can see the evidence of what God is doing. I must say this with all sense of sincerity. That Dr. Paul Enenche at the moment is one of the greatest voices we have in the body of Christ. And for me, I think he is more or less like the current father of our faith. Because whether we like it or not, the older generations are certainly going to also face out. But he is one of the current father of faith that we now have, that the generation, my generation of ministers are looking up to. Because of what he epitomizes, what he has been able to accomplish by the Spirit of God, lives that he has taught. At the moment, every country he has gone, but the president of the country and the citizens of the country stand at attention. And I think such a man should be given the honor due him. And so in the light of Dr. Abel's comment and whatever with regards to Dr. Enenche, I think completely.
Okay, God bless you. You've listened to Apostle Paul Odola. Something again is not adding up in this interview. Because, like I said in my previous video, you can watch it on my channel. Paul Enenche's name was mentioned by Dr. Ebed Damina, and the apostle Paul Odola name also was mentioned. I don't know the essence of this interview. Maybe this interview is not because of him, but because of Paul Enenche. Because if you listen to this interview, I don't know if this interview is longer than this. This is the clip that I have. In this interview, he concentrated on Paul Enenche than himself. In fact, he didn't specifically say whether he was ordained as Dr. Ebed Damina claimed or not. So this video, if you ask me, is not for himself, it's for Paul Enenche. Now we say this. I don't know how Paul, I don't know what happened. I don't know how Dr. Ebed Damina, like he said, ordained these two men of God. Now one can come to your conference, your meeting, and so on and so forth, and you can call the person out to pray for or anoint the person with oil, because it has happened to me. That doesn't mean that you ordain the person or you're the one that ordained the person. Pray for somebody or anointing somebody or someone live before you and you get the person anointed does not mean you ordain the person. Number two, for the fact that Paul Enenche has started running a ministry like Apostle Paul Odola was describing, that Dr. Paul Enenche has been in ministry, doing very well, was different from them, and so on and so forth. Yet a man can go into ministry without ordination. Before now, and even now, people still go into ministry without ordination. For one or two reasons. Because in our generation today, if you are not doing well in ministry, many people wouldn't want to ordain you. Just like if you're not doing very well in ministry, many wouldn't want to be your father in the Lord. So, for Dr. Enenche to be doing well or having a ministry, or maybe don't have a ministry, but was invited or has been invited one or two places to minister, or was even invited in Dr. Ebed Damina ministry to minister, or conference to minister, whatever it is, does not mean he was ordained. He could be doing that without being ordained. Many are doing it without being ordained. Many have been in ministry for some years before they even have a spiritual father. Many have been in ministry for some years before they even go for ordination. In conclusion of this interview this man made, to me, my opinion, even the way he concluded the interview, I think it's incomplete. Because describing Dr. Paul Enenche in that form is not a new thing. We all know Dr. Paul Enenche is blessed, has a good ministry, a large, if not one of the largest, one of the largest, doing very well financially, materially, spiritually, and otherwise. He is a father to fathers. We know the things that he has achieved for himself in the ministry is speaking for himself. They are speaking. They are not something who will begin to remind anybody. No. The name Dr. Paul Enenche rings bell. So coming to the interview and begin to re-emphasize on the achievement of Paul Enenche instead of making it clear, defending yourself against what you believe is a claim from Dr. Some years before they even go for the nation. In conclusion of this interview this man made, to me, my opinion, even the way he concluded the interview, I think it's incomplete because describing Dr. Paul Enenche in that form is not a new thing. We all know Dr. Paul Enenche is blessed, has a good ministry, a large, if not one of the largest, one of the largest, doing very well financially, materially, spiritually, and otherwise. He is a father to fathers. We know the things that he has achieved for himself in the ministry is speaking for himself. They are speaking. They are not something we will begin to remind anybody. No. The name Dr. Paul Enenche rings bell. So coming to the interview and begin to re-emphasize on the achievement of Paul Enenche instead of making it clear, defending yourself against what you believe is a claim from Dr. Ebe Damina, it's an incomplete interview. That's what I think. You didn't say anything about yourself. Because I've seen a video where also you have associated with Dr. Ebe Damina. In fact, the three of you, Apostle Paul Odola, Apostle Joshua Telena, Dr. Ebe Damina, both of you has preached in the video I saw in one meeting. It was Dr. Ebe Damina in that video gave you microphone. You ministered and then gave back to him. He ministered and then I think he gave back to him and then Apostle Joshua Telena and so on. As the three of you ministered. But in this interview, you didn't even say anything that shows that you had relationship with Dr. Ebe Damina. You had because of the video I saw. You see, I'm going to play another video for you to watch. I want you to listen to Apostle Paul Odola again in his old video, because this one now is a recent interview. Listen to his message and note some certain things he said. Note some certain things he said. Listen to this one first. Watch.
And that is how I started following from 1988. Dr. Ebe Damina, Reverend Joshua Telena.
You see that? He said, I believe the first time he met with Dr. Ebe Damina, according to him, was 1998. 1998. Okay, watch another clip of that video again. God bless you. You heard from the horse's mouth. He said they were scheduled to be ordained 1996, and that was 1995. With his own mouth, I believe, not under duress, because I'm going to play another video that this video, the longer one. he said they were scheduled to be ordained in 1996. That was 1995. And then he said that Dr. Ebed Damina, the same man, Dr. Ebed Damina, ordained him and Dr. Paul Enenche with the bottle of oil that came from Dr. Paul Enenche. Meaning that it was Dr. Paul Enenche that came with the oil that was used to ordain him and then Dr. Paul Enenche. And here he also said that it was Apostle Joshua Telena that recommended him to Dr. Ebed Damina for that ordination. This video, because I want him to talk about this video is open and close issue. Unless there is something wrong with this video, or unless he was not the one here in this video. If he's the one in this video, then he needs to either tell why he spoke the way he did. He made it very clear. He called it ordination. He was recommended. It took time from 1995 to 1996. It was ordination according to him. How come? I wanted to watch something else. I wanted to watch something else. Listen to one of his latest video. Listen.
It is important that I clear the air on this matter and put it to rest that it was not an ordination service that happened on that day.
Have you listened to him? He said it was not an ordination service that happened that day. Fine. Why then did you say? Why did you declare openly that Dr. Ebed Damina ordained you and the Paul Enenche? You called it ordination. Here you're saying it was not ordination. Which one are we going to believe? Nobody is accusing anybody here. We are only trying to think deeply over what you people brought in social media. We are thinking deeply over what you people brought in social media. Without thinking over it and without looking at it the way we are doing, the truth will be covered. You are contradicting yourself with your current video. But I don't know if you've seen the old one to tell the public why you made that statement or interpret the statement by yourself. I'm going to play another video for you to watch of him.
Praise God. My name is Apostle Paul Odola. My attention has been drawn to a video making the rounds, purportedly claimed that I said that Dr. Ebel Damina ordained me and Dr. Paul Enenche on the same day, and referring to the fact that it was the same oil. You see, this is the same false narrative projected that was construed that I am choosing to correct. I am doing this video in response to some of the very malicious.
Okay. Do you listen to him? It's not funny. It's not funny because of people that are involved. It's not funny because of these are people who look up to. People that are supposed to be our role model. He called that video that he declared that Ebed Damina ordained him and Paul Enenche. He called it false narrative. What made that video false narrative? That's what I don't understand. He will need to explain to us. What made that video false narrative? What is it you want to correct about that video? It's going to be false narrative if you are not the one that made that video, or the video, the person in that video was not you, or does not look like you. How could it be false narrative? Were you under duress? Did they put a bundiga on your head when you made that statement? Because I don't understand why you called it false narratives. Fine. I'm going to play that video for you to watch. Full video. Full video. The video he called false narrative. I'm going to play longer one for you to watch. Please watch. They called it false narrative. Let's see what is false narrative in this video.
When I woke up from the meeting had closed. Where is the man that touched me? If he has gone to one of the hostels to rest. That was where I followed Dr. Ebed. Whatever you touch me that made me collapse, I want it.
Look at the kind of credit he gave to Dr. Ebed Damina. He said he was touched by Ebed Damina. He passed out and didn't wake up until the meeting was over.
And when I got done with my secondary school, another Providence, I was the only graduating secondary school student that this YEC didn't come out. If that YEC had come out, I won't be a preacher today. No. I was sent to read law. I had planned to enter the University of Jos. Everything was in order. It became a 1 year of no result, and I had to rewrite YEC. I was the only person my result didn't come. So therefore, when the result didn't come, and I asked myself, what next? And I asked, where is Dr. Ebel Damina now? They said he has gone to Akwa Ibom to start a church. I said, okay, this 1 year, let me go and serve. And that is how I went to serve Dr. Ebel Damina in 1993. Because there was no result. Came back 1994 and wrote another YEC. And I passed, and I was given admission to Bauchi State Polytechnic. Because it was called Bagas. I went public and made. And right here in the school, I had started fellowship. And then when I was done with that State Polytechnic, ladies and gentlemen, I was full blown into ministry. Then Reverend Joshua Kalina recommended me for ordination by Dr. Ebel Damina in 1995. In 95, we were scheduled for ordination to be ordained in 1996 Ministers Conference, February the 7th. And in that ordination, I was recommended to be ordained. I and Dr. Paul and Enche were the two ministers ordained. I was ordained the same day by the same man in the same place with the same bottle of oil that came out of Dr. Paul and Enche. We were ordained to be grafted into the branches that Dr. Ebel Damina was planning to open. Reverend Joshua Kalina had started church in Jos. I was supposed to go to Gombe to start Dr. Ebel Damina's church. I am saying this for record. I'm on the air.
He said he was saying this for record. And he said, I am on the air. It's like swearing. It was a public declaration. Now he's calling false narratives. God bless you. God bless you. You've listened to him. You know, for some people. Now, let me say something, because I saw in some comments that what is ordination and so on and so forth. You may not see anything good about or too important about ordination. But all I know with my little experience is that ordination is a spiritual thing. And according to what Dr. Abel said, he said he was not actually expecting anything from Dr. Paul Enenche. And Dr. Paul Enenche has not, unless I've not seen it, has not actually made a video directly to debunk whether Ebe Damina ordained him or not. Yes, he submitted to Daddy Onyedepo, but there's no record who ordained him. There's no record who ordained him. There's no record. There's no record. There's no record. Listen to this. Then I'll draw conclusion here. Watch.
We are most privileged to have one of God's choicest generals. Now, the man that has touched my life in many ways. The man of God that ordained me to ministry. This is the same man that ordained Apostle Paul Odola. Even Dr. Paul Enenche, he ordained all of us.
You heard him. This is Apostle Joshua Telena. The day, I believe, he invited Dr. Ebe Damina to minister his church. And here he was introducing Dr. Ebe Damina to the people to come and minister. If you had listened very well, you see the introduction. And he openly said that this man ordained him to ministry, including Apostle Paul Adola and Dr. Paul Enenche. If you ask me my opinion, I will say Apostle Paul Adola should also refer to Apostle Joshua Telena, because I believe he must have seen this video that has been going on social media. He should call Joshua Telena attention to this. So I don't know what's going on, but all I know, based on what is happening, before now, there's been an issue. Sorry, this video is becoming too long. Having listened to all this video, what do you think? What is your opinion? Is Dr. Ebe Damina seeking for attention or recognition or assistance? Is there anything Dr. Ebe Damina is asking indirectly from Paul Enenche or not? Or Apostle Paul or dollar, is he telling the truth? With all these videos, do you think in your opinion that Ebe Damina is lying, or Apostle Paul or dollar is lying? Let's leave Dr. Paul Enenche out of it for now, because he has not, like I said, made any personal video or live video, or even in his church, directly calling out Ebe Damina like he called his name. So let's leave him out of it, out of this. So the thing is something is not adding up. So if you really want to know the conclusion of this issue, keep a date with me, because the truth will be revealed. It's not for anything. It's just to set the record straight. Because in the first place, this is not supposed to be. These ministers will look onto. They're not supposed to come on social media to begin to say things like this. But since they brought it out, we need to address it. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you for your time. Subscribe, share this video to create awareness. Leave your comment. Your opinion matters. Like my video. God bless you. Shalom. Shalom.